Alright, we're here in beautiful sunny Florida breaking down Fight Night 94, Johnson versus Poirier out of Hidalgo, Texas. Love that fight. Quickly go over last week's bets. I made a unit, technically .9, but basically a unit. I lost three straight bets on underdogs. Sean Spencer, Joanne Calderwood, and Kyle Magalish. Joanne Calderwood and Sean Spencer got beat up, but Kyle Magalish was one scorecard away. It is what it is. I also lost a parlay of Jessica I over 2.5 rounds parlayed with over 4.5 fights go the distance. Only 4 fights went the distance. I wasn't expecting the Dober, the Spencer, or the Lentz fight to go the distance or to end inside the distance, but is what it is. Then the last one, I lost a half unit parlay on Rivera, Verdum, and Calderwood. Calderwood screwed that one up for me. It is what it is. And bets I won, I had 1.2 units on Mickey Gall round 1. I had half a unit on Verdum decision, which is kind of controversial because that fight should have ended in the first round by TKO injury from that finger injury. But 2 units on Verdum and Gall and 1 unit on Rivera Lentz. But yeah, 1 unit. Good night is what it is. I'll take it. Breaking down this card now. First fight of the night, we got Albert Morales taking on Alejandro Perez. Plus 100 Morales, minus 120 Perez. Man, I really like Albert Morales. I know he's coming off looking for a fight, and those guys don't do well, but I like Albert Morales, man. He's the truth. I'm really impressed with what he's got in the striking and on the mat. I haven't seen much of his wrestling, but Alejandro Perez, I don't think he's going to have much to offer in the wrestling anyway. I've never been impressed with Alejandro Perez. He's had weird fights, man. He beat beat up Scott Jorgensen, is what it is. That was probably his best win, to be honest. And Ian Entwistle, who came in with a just completely terrible game plan against Perez there. Entwistle is a crazy guy. But yeah, man. Perez, the one time he fought an explosive, strong, big bantamweight, Patrick Williams, he caught him in a standing guillotine in 25 seconds after just clobbering him. And I think Morales is going to be able to do the same here, man. I think he's going to be able to starch him in the first round. I like Morales via first round stoppage, and I do have money on him. Next up, I'm seeing here now, minus 470 Randy Brown taking on plus 375 Eric Montano. I didn't want to bet on this fight at first because I'm not all that high on Randy Brown, and I didn't like him at minus 400, which that's what he was yesterday. But Eric Montano, I'm even lower on him, man. He's just not good at all. He ripped off Enrique Marin in that fight. A 155-pound Enrique Marin. I thought he beat Montano. But another thing, Randy Brown, his weak point is the wrestling, and that's, in my opinion, Montano's biggest strength is the wrestling. He was able to out-wrestle Marin. But Randy Brown, he got out-wrestled by Michael Graves, and Eric Montano is just no Michael Graves. Michael Graves is a beast. But another thing, Montano is having trouble gauging range in that fight. He wasn't able to manage distance, and Marin was able to pick him apart on the feet a little bit. And Randy Brown, an actual welterweight, a 6'3" welterweight, man. I'm scared for Montano in this fight, man. I think Randy Brown's gonna be able to go out there and starch him. But yeah, I did get Randy Brown in a couple different parlays at minus 400 after some thought. I can't see Montana winning this fight. I mean, he could lay on Randy Brown for 2 out of the 3 rounds, but other than that, I don't see it. And Randy Brown, who knows? Randy Brown could have the huge jiu-jitsu advantage. He could use those long limbs. I wouldn't be surprised if he caught Montana with something crazy on the ground. But yeah, I like Randy Brown to starch Eric Montano here in the second round. Next up, Joey the KO King Gomez taking on Jose Quinones. Quinones is just like Alejandro Perez, those two guys are a lot better than most tough Latin guys. I like Quinones, but Joey Gomez, man, I'm even higher on him. I think Joey Gomez is a beast, man. His last fight against Rob Font. Rob Font's a very good fighter, and Joey Gomez, he did good for his his UFC debut. He held his own until the stoppage, but Joey Gomez, he's had that experience now. I think he's going to be a little bit more comfortable. Quinones, looking at Quinones' record, he got knocked out by some guy who doesn't have any other knockouts on his record. And Joey Gomez, man, as corny as that name is, they call him the KO King for a reason. He's got big power for a bantamweight. I think he's going to be able to shut out Quinones' lights here. I think this is the coming out party for Joey Gomez, man, and I do have him in a parlay or two. I really like Joey Gomez here, especially at minus 157. I've seen a lot of people in Quinones. I just don't get it. I mean, if he was a plus 200, maybe I could see it, but I think Joey Gomez rolls here, man. But next up, Antonio Carlos Jr. minus 245 taking on Leonardo Augusto Leleco plus 205. Leleco's last fight was weird, man. He was fighting Anthony Smith, and Anthony Smith, he's a big guy, but he's just not a very good fighter, and he put it on Leleco in those first two rounds, almost stopped him. But the third round, I don't know what it was. Just the only positives I get out of that was Leleco's heart, and I don't want to say his cardio because he did gas in that first round. He could have either caught a second wind, or Anthony Smith could have just gassed out even worse than Leleco did. So I don't know what that was, but still lost the fight to Anthony Smith. But another thing, Anthony Smith, he cut through Leleco like butter on the ground, and Antonio Carlos Jr. being the BJJ champ he is, I think he's just going to be able to go in there and just roll him on the mat. Leleco's not going to be able to survive like Dan Kelly did, man, but that's my only worry. That third round, Leleco, he showed heart and toughness in that third round, and Carlos Jr. in that last fight against Dan Kelly, that third round didn't go too well for him. Old man Dan Kelly put the beat down on him, but I don't think he gets there, man. I think Shoeface takes him out in the first round via submission. This is going to be a good fight for Shoeface here. I don't think Leleco's got anything for him at all on the ground. Next up, Belal Muhammad versus Augusto Montano. Man. This is a bad matchup for Montano, man. He's a guy who relies a lot on his crazy strikes and confidence, honestly. But Belal Muhammad, man, he could get hit by some big stuff in that first round, but he's going to be able to eat it up and pressure Montano and make it his fight, and that's going to kill the confidence of Montano. I think, Augusto, he's better than his brother. I'll give him that, but because he's an actual 170-pounder. Eric, I don't know if he can make 155, but Augusto is definitely a lot bigger. But either way, man, Belal, that shin he showed in the Joban fight, that head kicks that Joban landed on Belal, that would have knocked down 90% of the roster, man. But Belal just ate it like breakfast and came back and got a 10-8 in that third round. And I think Belal's going to get those kind of rounds on Montano every single round. I think he's going to be able to just destroy him to a 30-26 decision, or maybe even get a late stoppage. But oh, another thing, Belal Muhammad, man, he was fasting. He was going through Ramadan in that first camp. Not only that, it was a short notice camp. Call me crazy, but I would take Belal Muhammad in a rematch against Alan Jouban. I think Belal Muhammad is the truth. I love this guy. He's a beast, man. I think he's a definition of a fighter. He's got it all, man. And now that he's had that first fight, and he's fighting a low-level guy, this is his coming out party. Belal Muhammad via late stoppage. Next up, minus 160 Sam Cecilia taking on plus 140 Gabriel Benitez. I like Gabriel Benitez, man. I think he's the second best fighter out of Tough Latin behind Yair Rodriguez. I'm really high on Benitez, man, especially training at AKA now. You know, he's a good striker. He's got really hard kicks. He's a beast. He's definitely better than Cecilia, and I want to bet on him, but Sam Cecilia, man, he's got dynamite in his hands. He's a beast. He can knock anybody out. Plus 140, I can't do it. If he was like a plus 180 or a plus 200, sure, but I can't risk it with those bombs Sam Cecilia has strapped to his wrist, bro. I mean, it's tough, but I got Benitez via decision, maybe even a late stoppage. It's a tough fight, man. I mean, it should be a pick'em fight here, but yeah, I like Gabriel Benitez, barring a crazy bomb from Sam Cecilia. But next up, Chaz Skelly taking on Maximo Blanco. Maximo Blanco, he's a crazy, aggressive, powerful striker, and he goes for crazy stuff. But those are the kind of guys that I think Chaz Skelly can beat. Chaz Skelly's going to be able to grind him out and beat him up. I mean, Chaz Skelly's durable as hell, too. If Blanco hits him with something crazy, I think Skelly is going to be able to eat that up and grind him out and tire him out, and I think he could get a late stoppage, maybe a decision, but I think the more realistic pick here is Chaz Skelly, third round submission. I like Blanco. I'd like to see him do well. I mean, I like Skelly too. I mean, this is an awesome fight, but I do have Chaz Skelly. I didn't want to put too much into him, so I threw him in a half unit parlay, but yeah, I like Chaz Skelly here a lot. I think he's going to be able to grind Blanco out. Just the way Blanco wins fights via crazy KOs, I don't think he can do that against Skelly. Skelly's durable. He's a beast. I think this is going to be his night. Next up, Chris Wade versus Islam Makhachev. I wanted to bet Chris Wade here, but once I looked more into the fight, did more tape study, broke it down more, I think the way this fight's going to go is it's going to end in a close split decision, and I don't want to put my money in the hands of the judges, just like these fighters don't want to put the fight in the hands of the judges, man. The thing is, this is going to be the first fight Chris Wade actually has a striking advantage. But I don't think he's the type of striker like Adriano Martins to where you can knock Makhachev out. I mean, you never know. Chris Wade hit a crazy strike on Rustam Khabilov, and I see a lot of people say Islam Makhachev is a poor man's Rustam Khabilov. I slightly agree with that, but Islam's got a big wrestling advantage here. But the thing is, he's got a big wrestling advantage, but I think Chris Wade's craftier on the ground. I think the craft might be able to outshine the strength, and we're going to see some great scrambles in this fight. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think Chris Wade wins it, though. I'm picking Chris Wade in a 29-28 decision. I think one of those rounds, maybe the third, Makhachev is not going to be able to get him on the ground, and Chris Wade's going to be able to piece him up on the feet. And then in the first two rounds, we're going to see some crazy scrambles, some crazy takedowns by Makhachev. But I like Wade by decision here. Just I can't put money on it, knowing that it's probably going to be a close decision. But next up, another fight I wanted to bet on. Minus 120 Kenny Robertson taking on plus 100 Ron Canero. I wanted to bet on Robertson here, but I've lost a lot of money betting against high level BJJ guys, and that's exactly what Carnero is. My pick is Robertson. I think he's got a big striking advantage. Carnero, he's been around for a long time, and he's never showed really high level striking. It's not like he's going to come out here with a whole new arsenal of striking tools. I think he KOs him here. I mean, Carnero could grind him out to a 30-27 decision, maybe even submit him. I mean, Robertson held his own and wasn't able to get submitted by Ben Saunders. A lot of people say Robertson won that Ben Saunders fight, but I had money on Robertson, and I still thought Ben Saunders won. But Carnero could grind him out here, but the thing is, if Carnero gets on top and grinds him out in that first round, Kenny Robertson has the second round and the beginning of the third round to strike Carnero up, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think he's going to knock out Carnero in the beginning of the second round, maybe the first round, but the pick here is definitely Kenny Robertson by TKO. Not entirely confident, that's why I'm not putting the money on it. I've lost a lot of money betting against BJJ guys, so yeah, no bets, but I do like Kenny Robertson here via TKO. Next up, Evan Dunham versus Rick Glenn. I'm a big fan of Rick Glenn here, but Evan Dunham, man, he's putting everything together. He's in his prime. He's finally becoming the Evan Dunham that a lot of people hoped for way back in the day. You know, when he lost that terrible, maybe the worst decision of all time to Sean Shirk. That's when I think that halted his confidence and just set him back a couple of years. Honestly, that terrible split decision, but this is the Evan Dunham, man. I think he finally put it together, and I think he's going to be able to just outwork Glenn. I think he's just going to be able to beat him up for 3 rounds, barring a crazy strike by Rick Glenn, because he is a great striker, and he's finally at his real weight class. I can't believe he made that cut to 145. He's a big 145 pounder, so I do think he's going to look good. He could have his moments in this fight, but yeah, barring a crazy strike by Rick Glenn, I think Evan Dunham just outworks him and just outperforms Glenn to a 30-27 decision or even a late stoppage. But I do like Evan Dunham here, and he will be going into a parlay for me. Yeah, I like Glenn, but I think Evan Dunham's going to be able to go out there and defeat the Rufus Sport fighter. Next up, minus 200, Derek Brunson taking on plus 170 Uriah Hall. I like Brunson in this fight. I liked it since it was announced before I even did my tape study. I just felt like this is the fight that Uriah Hall is going to go out there and lose. I don't think Brunson's going to be able to get hit by anything big. I mean, that Gegard Mousasi knockout Uriah Hall hit, that was a 1 in 100 chance, man. That was crazy. That was crazy. But Uriah Hall, on his best day, he knocks out Gegard Mousasi. On his worst day, he loses decisions to Rafael Natal and John Howard. So I think, but thing is, Derek Brunson, a lot of people are talking, oh, Derek Brunson, he's trying to be a striker. He's getting comfortable with his striking. He is. I mean, I think he's a real striker now. I think he's putting it all together. I think he's the truth, man. I think Derek Brunson's the man. He's going to be able to be in that top 5 in 2017. I just think he's putting it all together. He's going to be able to beat up Hall here. I like Derek Brunson via a late first round TKO or an early second round TKO. I think he's going to frustrate Hall. He's going to hit Hall with some big shots, and he's going to fall down. Brunson's going to follow it up with some ground and pound, and Derek Brunson's going to get that big win, man. I mean, just like the last fight, barring some big crazy strike from Uriah Hall, I think Derek Brunson's going to be able to go in there and do his thing. I like Derek Brunson here. Oh, another thing, Derek Brunson, of course, everyone knows about his wrestling, beast wrestler, but Uriah Hall, he got out wrestled by Robert Whitaker, and say what you want about Robert Whitaker looking good at 185. He's a 170 pounder. If you look at Robert Whitaker and Derek Brunson next to each other, you would just immediately think different weight classes. Derek Brunson's going to have his way through Uriah Hall here. I think even the striking, although Uriah Hall's a more dangerous striker, I think the striking here is even. Derek Brunson, he's putting it together. But, yeah, Derek Brunson. Next up, the main event. Love this fight. Dustin Poirier minus 165 taking on Michael Johnson plus 145. I was at Michael Johnson's fight against Nate Diaz, man. When I watched that live, I thought Michael Johnson won. I thought he won the first and third round, and I got home, watched it again. He didn't. Nate Diaz won those second 2 rounds, but it was a close fight. I think if they fought again, I mean, I really don't know what happened, man. I think Nate Diaz just got in his head. I mean, he was pointing at him, taunting him a little bit. But Michael Johnson, he's a fast, athletic dude. I mean, Michael Johnson, just like Uriah Hall, on his best day, he wins against the Edson Barbozas and the Tony Fergusons of the world, but he loses to the Reza Madadis of the world, you know? This is an even money fight to me, but I'm going to go with Poirier here, even though the guys he struggled against are the really fast, athletic guys like McGregor and Swanson, and Michael Johnson, he's a fast dude, man. I mean, I like Poirier here just based off of past performances. I think Michael Johnson, I think he could win the first 2 rounds. I think it'll be close. But I like Poirier to beat him up in the third round, then get the submission in the fourth round. I think he's going to be able to maybe catch him in a submission after Michael Johnson goes for a crazy takedown. Who knows? But I do like the Diamond to get it done here and continue that streak. But quickly go over my plays. I got 6 plays. Or excuse me, 7 plays. I got 1.6 units on Derek Brunson straight up. I got 1 unit on Derek Brunson, Uriah Hall under 2.5 at plus 140. I got 1 unit on Alberto Morales and Belal Muhammad just to beef up that Morales line. I got that at plus 161. My biggest parlay, I got 1.5 units on Belal, Antonio Carlos Jr., and Dunham at plus 156 to win 2.3. And then I got 3 half-unit parlays. I got Morales, Gomez, and Brunson at plus 440. I got Skelly, Brown, and Shoeface at plus 185. And I got Gomez in the distance with Randy Brown at plus 200. But, yeah, that's going to be it for me. Subscribe, like, follow me on Twitter at MMA Kelton. Yeah, man, I think it's going to be a great night of fights. Looking forward to it. That main event, man, it's gonna be awesome. This is a great card. But yeah, with that, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the fights.